How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Kuf Samech Tes, Daf 169 of Masechta BavaBasra. Gewaldig. Alright, today is going to be a Daf. Chevre, today is going to be a Daf. Today is going to be a Daf. A great, gewaldig Daf. Like a Bav Metzia kind of a Daf. We're going to start at the, we're going to start 2, 4, 6 lines, I believe, from the 6, 7 lines, 2, 4, 6 lines, I think, from the bottom of Daf Kuf Sameches Amud Beis. Tanur Baran, the rabbi started, Hareshe Bave Omar Avad Shtar Chovi, Afabisha Amu Edim, Anu Kosavnu Chasavnu Nasanu Lo, En Kozvin Lo Sashtar, Bamid Vamurim, Bishtar Ava Aval, okay. So, alright. So let's start off with a loan document, right? We're going to say what happens if it's a loan document, what happens if it's a sale document, but okay, let's start out with the loan document. So, so Shimon lends Reuven $1,000, okay? Now Reuven comes to Shimon and, Shimon lends Reuven $1,000, right? So Shimon lends Reuven $1,000. So Reuven writes a document and gives it to Shimon that says, Reuven owes me $1,000. Shimon loses the document, so he comes back to Reuven and he says, hey, can you write me another one? Okay? So again, so if Shimon comes and says, hey, Reuven, I lent you $1,000. You wrote me this document that I owe you $1,000. I lost the document. Can you write me a new one? The answer is no. Even though the witnesses say, Anu kosavnu, yes, we wrote the document, v'chosamnu, and we signed it, v'nosanulo, and we gave it to Shimon. Right. We know for sure that this is a real loan that really happened. Ein kozvin lo es hashtar. We do not write another shtar. When do we not write another shtar? By a loan document, because we're concerned that if either Shimon's lying or if he finds the original, then he can, he can collect twice. Okay, fine. Right. Okay. Right. So therefore, right, because we don't want a scenario where Shimon might have two documents saying that he's owed $1,000, because that can get messy. So we simply don't write a replacement shtar. Aval, however, However, if the scenario is that Shimon sold property to Reuven, okay? Shimon sold property to Reuven, and Shimon then wrote a document to Reuven that says, Reuven, this property is yours, okay? So, gewaldig. Now Reuven comes back to Shimon, at some later point, and he says, Shimon, I lost the document. Can you write me a new document that says that the property is mine? Wow, I feel like there's so many Reuven, Shimons, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachars on this stuff. We barely started and I'm like second guessing if I've mixed people up already. But anyways, in this scenario, Shimon sold a property to Reuven. Reuven later on comes and says, hey, I lost the document of sale. Can you write me a new document? So in that case, sure, we write a new document. But in the new document, we make it clear that Reuven cannot, there's no achrayus on this document. And therefore, if Levi comes to Reuven's house, Reuven's property that he bought from Shimon, and Levi says, Reuven, bad news, Shimon defaulted on his loan, I'm taking the property away. Reuven would not be able to show up at Shimon's house with the document and say, hey, Levi took away the property, I need you to get, give me money, give me a new property, whatever it is. No, there's no achrayus on the new document. So we could write him a document as a proof that he's the current owner. For whatever reason, he needs to prove that he's the current owner. He'll have the document. But if he loses the property and he needs and he wants to get reimbursed for it, he wants insurance on the property, we don't grant that in the replacement document. So again, second to the bottom line. On Kuf Samach Ches Amud Beis, Aval Shtori Mekach uMimkor, when we're talking about a document of purchase, of sale, Kosvin, we do write the document and we'll give it to Ruvain. Chutz min achrayis shabo. However, the replacement document will not have achrayis, right? If the field is taken away, if Levi comes and says that Shimon defaulted on a loan, he's taking the field away from Ruvain. Ruvain has no recourse based on the second document. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Av shtar mekach umimkar ein kosvin. Says Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel that even by shtar mekach umimkar, even in the scenario of Shimon selling a property to Ruvain, and Ruvain comes and says, "Hey, I lost the document." We don't write a replacement document whatsoever. We don't write a replacement document at all. Because Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel holds, as Rashbam points out, and as is going to come up not in today's Gemara, but I believe in tomorrow's Gemara, that Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel holds that osios niknin b'mesira, that be'etzem okay, if Shimon lends Ruvain $1,000, okay, and so Ruvain owes Shimon $1,000. Shimon has a document saying that Ruvain owes Shimon $1,000. Shimon, if he wants to give that to Levi so that Ruvain pays Levi instead of him, Shimon could simply give the document to Levi, and now Ruvain needs to pay Levi. He doesn't need to make any special kind of a kinyan and be makne the document to Levi. He could just give it to him. Osos niknas b'mesira, that the content of a document can simply be given to somebody else. And therefore, according to Shimon ben Gamliel, we would not write a replacement document for Ruvain when Shimon sold Ruvain property and Ruvain lost the document. We would not write a replacement document for Ruvain because maybe Ruvain gave the document back to Shimon, and if that's the case, then it wouldn't be Ruvain's anymore. Okay, fine. So Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer Av shtar mekach umimkar ein kosvin. We don't even write a shtar mekach umimkar. V'chein oyer Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer, and similarly Rabbi Shimon Gamliel would say, Hanosin matona lachaveru ve'echzilo sashtar chazor matnoso. And based on what we just said, if Shimon gives a gift to Ruvain and he writes a document and he gives it to Ruvain saying that Ruvain, you now own this property. If Ruvain gives back the document, well, he's giving back the gift. The Chacham say no, the gift stands because ein osios niknos b'mesira, according to the Chacham. According to the Chacham, simply giving back the document would not be enough. You would actually have to sell it back to him or write a new document or make a new kinyan, a separate kinyan. Okay. Omer Mar, we said earlier, chutz me'achrayis shabo. Okay, so we had just said that again, in the scenario where Shimon sells a property to Ruvain, Ruvain later on comes and says, "Hey Shimon, I lost the document, can you write me a replacement?" The answer is yes, we can, but no achrayis. And if if Ruvain loses his property because Shimon knocks on his door and says, "Hey," because Levi knocks on his door and says Shimon defaulted on his loan, Ruvain has no recourse based on the second document. Okay, so again, on Ramai we said, chutz me'achrayis shebo, that when we write a replacement document for Ruvain's property that he purchased from Shimon, we write the replacement but without any recourse in the case of loss of the field. My time, how come? Rav Safra says, Rav Safra lefi, because she'en kosvin shnei shtaris al soda achas, because we don't write two documents with achrayis for the same field. The original document had achrayis. The replacement document cannot have achrayis because dilma ozil balchov. Because what if Levi shows up at Ruvain's door and he says, "Ruvain, I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true. Shimon defaulted on his loan, and I'm taking your property." So we're concerned that the Ma'azul Balchov, that Levi is going to come to Ruvain's property that he bought from Shimon, Tarif Lehai, and he's going to take Ruvain's property away from him because Shimon defaulted on the loan to Levi. Ve'ozil Hai Umapek Chad V'Tarif Lekuches, and we're concerned that if Reuven now has two documents that say that he is the owner of the field that he's being evicted from, and that he has achrayus, and we're saying, right, he could potentially have two of these documents, right? But, in our scenario, because he's saying he's lost it, what if he finds it? And now we wrote him a replacement shtar with achrayus, right? If we would have achrayus, well then we're in we have a problematic situation because Reuven is being evicted from his field. Now he's got two documents now, potentially, saying that he was the owner of the field that he got evicted, of the property that he got evicted from. Now he has achrayus on that property, which means that if he gets evicted from his property, if in the meantime Shimon had sold additional properties to Yehuda, to Yisachar, well, what'll happen is, right? So again, so Duma'azu Balchov Tarv Lehai. So maybe Levi's going to show up and evict Reuven from his field. Ve'azil Hai, and Reuven is going to go. Umapik Chad, and he's going to take one of his documents. He's going to take one of his documents because now he's got two documents. He's going to take one of his documents, V'tarif Lekuchis, and he's going to show up at Yehuda's door and say, Yehuda, I was evicted from my field, which I had purchased from Shimon. I had achrayus. I'm evicting you from your field. And now he's going to scheme with Levi. Reuven is going to scheme with Levi, and he's going to say, Levi, this worked out very smoothly. You evicted me from my field. I went and took away Yehuda's field. I have an extra shtar. I actually have another shtar that says that I own the property that you just evicted me from. So let's just pretend to do this again in a few years from now. And Reuven says to Levi, Shofli, de'ekomba, give me some time, just leave me be to kind of get settled on the property that I evicted Yehuda from. But then in a few years' time, come, Torfan, and let's do this scheme all over again. I still have a document that says that I own the field that you just evicted me from. Come and evict me again. And this time I'll take my document and I'll knock on Yisachar's door. And I'll take his field away from him. And what we'll do in this case is we'll split 50-50 Yisachar's field. So now Reuven's going to scheme with Levi, because since Reuven has this extra document, he can scheme with Levi to evict Yisachar unlawfully from his field, and Reuven and Levi will split it. Right? So Shovli de'ekem ba'adar tirfon, and come and take, and now let's do this again. Reuven suggests to Levi, and evict me a second time from my field. Umapik achrina, and this time I'll take out the other document that I have. V'hadar also tarif lekuchas achrine, and we'll go and take away Yisachar's field as well, and we'll split it. And therefore, we're concerned, right? We want to prevent such a scheme from transpiring. So therefore, we do not write a replacement shtar with achrayus, and therefore that replacement shtar, Reuven, there's nothing Reuven can do with it. He would be unable, if he finds the original one, he would be unable to evict both Yehuda and Yisachar. If he finds the original one, so he could evict Yehuda, fine. But the second one would be useless in evicting Yisachar. But now, fragt the Gemara, v'cheven de karayna l'shtore de malve b'may hoder tarifla. But fragt the Gemara, 1 second. There's a problem with this whole scenario, which is, interestingly, I think this might be the first place that we've seen this, which is super interesting stuff. But that there's a whole mahalich for how for going about evicting somebody from their field, right? Meaning, we always, whenever it came up in the Gemara, it was always like, it's very chick-chock. It's like somebody owes money, he defaulted, so the loaner goes and kicks the guy off the field. It's like very chick-chock. But actually, there's a lot of steps in between, actually. The way that it works is that once upon a time, Shimon lent money to Levi. Okay? And Reuven, wait, what did I just say? I don't know what I just said. once upon a time, Levi lent money to Shimon. Okay? And Shimon was Meshabed his property. Okay. In the meantime, Shimon sold property to Reuven. The time of to repay the loan has arrived, and Shimon defaults. So now what happens? Right up until now, we've always been like, okay, so like Levi just knocks on Reuven's door and takes his house away from him. It's more detailed than that. What happens is, well, first Levi knocks on Shimon's door, and he says, "Shimon, you owe me $1,000." Shimon says, "Sorry, I don't got it." So the next step is that they go to Bezdin. Okay? And Bezdin says, okay, well, Shimon doesn't have the money, so they write Levi a new document. This document is what's called a shtar tirfa. And what a shtar tirfa is it allows Levi to search on Google or ChatGPT or something like that. It enables Levi to search for any property that Shimon might have. And sure enough, Levi is searching around and he finds, now Shimon and Levi live in New York, and Levi finds out that in Miami Beach, Shimon owns a condo. Shimon owns a condo in Miami Beach. So, Levi buys a plane ticket and he packs his shtar tirfa and he flies down to Miami Beach and he goes to the Bezdin de Miami Beach and he shows them his shtar tirfa. That he, Levi, had lent $1,000 to Shimon, and Shimon had defaulted, and Bezdin in New York had written him this document that allows him to do research and to find any property that Shimon owns. And I have found that Shimon owns a property here in Miami Beach. He sold it to Reuven. So Bezdin will now write for him a new document called a shtar adrachta. And what a shtar adrachta does is the Bezdin in Miami writes this document which allows Levi to finally knock on Reuven's door and say, Reuven, look, I'm serving you a shtar adrachta. This was written by the Bezdin here in Miami that says that I am entitled to kick you out of your house. And then once Reuven is evicted from the house, then they write a shtar shuma to evaluate, because they have to then evaluate the value of the house, and Shimon, Levi, of course, is only entitled to $1,000 worth, and then now he has this document with the value of the property. Now, so back to our original question. So v'cheven de karayne l'shtara de malve b'may hodar tarifla. Now the thing is, in our scenario, what was happening? Was that Be'etzem Levi was knocking on Reuven's door and saying, I'm evicting you because Shimon defaulted on a loan. And okay, so Reuven gets evicted. No problem. He has 2 shtars. And so Reuven takes one of the shtars and he evicts Yehuda. And we're saying that then in the future they're going to do this scheme Nachamal. Shimon is going to, take his document and he's going to do this, he's going to run the scheme rinse and repeat, run the scheme all over again. And this time Reuven's going to take property from Yisachar. The thing is, how can you rinse and repeat? How can you do this scheme all over again? The first time they did this scheme, Bezdin would have already torn up Levi's document that says that he's owed money, right there, that he lent money to Shimon. The first time Levi comes to Bezdin, they're going to tear up that document. So how can he rinse and repeat? How can he do it again? The loan document has already been torn up. So again, but since Bezdin has already torn up Levi's document, how can you rinse and repeat? How can you do this again? With what? He's going to show up and make a claim with what document? And if you can say, well, maybe Bezdin didn't tear up the document. No, that's impossible. Because Amr of Nachman says of Nachman, Kol Tirfa, any shtar Tirfa, right? That was the document that allows Levi to search around for Shimon's properties. Kol Tirfa Delo Ksivre. This was the document that the Bezdin in New York wrote to Levi to empower him to search for Shimon's properties. Kol Tirfa Delo Ksivbe, and any shtar Tirfa that is not written in it, Karaina Lishtara Demalve, that we tore up the loan document, Lav Tirfa, that's an invalid shtar Tirfa. So, meaning, assuming that we're talking about a valid shtar Tirfa, so, which we are, I mean, the assumption is that we're talking about a valid shtar Tirfa, so Memele, they would have already torn up the shtar Milve. V'chol adrachta delo ksiva karaina letirfa, and any shtar adrachta, which was written by the Bezin in Miami Beach, that allows Levi to evict Ruvain, any shtar adrachta that doesn't say karaina letirfa, that we tore up the shtar tirfa, lav adrachta, is an improper adrachta, shtar adrachta. V'chol shuma, and any shtar shuma delo ksiv be karaina leadrachta, and any evaluation document that does not say that the shtar adrachta was torn up, lav shumahu, he is an invalid shtar shuma. So of course the document had already been, the shtar milva had already been ripped up. So how could you just run this scheme all over again? So lo tzricha de kaasi mikoyach avase. Well, actually, we're not talking about where Levi had lent money to Shimon. Rather, we're talking about where Levi shows up at Ruvain, right? Shows up and says, "Hey, Ruvain, I know that Levi sold you this property, but it wasn't Levi's. It was my family's, and therefore he's going to kick off. He's going to evict Ruvain for that reason. So there's no shtar milva here that needs to be torn up." Says Rav Achim Yidifti to Ravina, "V'lamalei lemeimer lei lebalchov shofli by ara ve'ekum ba." Now, asks Rav Achim Yidifti to Ravina, why, when they're scheming, would Reuven have to say, "Hey, Levi, just give me some time to get settled, and then we'll run the scheme again"? Why can't he just do it immediately? I mean, he's got two documents. Why can't he just execute both of them immediately? Why do you have to wait in between? So well, if Levi just immediately starts taking everybody, evicting everybody from their fields, he risks putting the entire scheme in jeopardy. Because people are going to be talking and he might get busted more easily. Where am I? Okay, but now fact the Gemara. How about this? Friends, ready for this? One second. Why not write for Ruvain a replacement document, A to Z, with achrayus, everything. Right? Shimon sold a property to Ruvain. Ruvain lost a document. Let's believe him. Let's trust him. He lost a document. I don't know. It's gone. So we'll write him a new one, a replacement, with achrayus. Sure. And let's write a receipt, right, or at least some kind of a document that we'll give to Shimon. And that document will say, Kol shtari de yafkun al arada psulin. Look, any document that will be shown as a document of ownership of said property, psulin, levar min de yipuk bizmanada. Right? Simple solution. Write a document for Reuven, a proper document with achrayus and everything, and let's write a side letter. Right? That's coming up in the news these days. A side letter. Right? So let's write another document for Reuven, and Reuven will have for Shimon. Right? So we write a proper document for Reuven, and then we'll write another document for Shimon, and that document says that any document that will be shown as a document of ownership for this particular field is invalid except for the document that was written at such and such a time. And therefore, when Reuven shows up with the original document and tries to evict Yehuda with the original document, we'll say, wait, that document is invalid. One second. That is not the document, right? Shimon has a document that says that the only valid document is one that is the new document. That's the old document. We're not invalid. So why not do that? Problem solved, no? So the rabbi said this before Papa, some say before Avashi, Zosomersin, Kosvin Shover. Well, this therefore must be an indication, Ein Kosvin Shover, that we don't write receipts, right? Meaning what we're giving to Shimon is essentially a receipt. Shimon, hold on to this document so that if anybody comes to you and says, hey, Reuven evicted me from my field with this document that with Achrayas that he owns, that he was kicked off of his field. So when Yehuda comes to Shimon and says like, hey, I was kicked off my field, and the document is shown to Shimon, and it turns out to be the original document of sale, Shimon will say, no, whoa, that is an invalid document. So the document Shimon has is a sort of receipt, right? A proof that, that he could show to prevent any evictions with the original document. So from the fact that we don't do this, and instead we say that the replacement document that we write for Reuven is without achrayas, it must be that we don't write receipts. It's a machlokes that we're going to see tomorrow. I don't know if it's a Mishnah on tomorrow's daf. I don't know if we'll do the Mishnah tomorrow or the next day. I don't know. But it's a machlokes. Do we write, and we've seen it before, do we write receipts or not? So it sounds like we don't write receipts. Because if we did, then we have a solution, right? Just write that any other document other than the one written today is possible. So Amalus Rav Ashi responds, look, no, in general, for loans, we do write receipts, okay? We can argue that for loans, we would write a receipt. So if Shimon lent $1,000 to Reuven, and Reuven pays back Shimon, we would write a receipt for Reuven, okay? To say that, that the loan has been repaid. So by loans, we would write a receipt. But here, we do not write a receipt. So in general, we would write a shover, we would write a receipt, but in this case, this is the reason why we don't write this document and give it to Shimon that says that only the new document is valid. The Dilma Azul Balcho V'Tarif Mina Dilokeach, because we're concerned that Levi is going to evict Reuven from his property. V'Azul Iu V'Tarif Lekuchis, and Levi and Reuven is going to go and evict Yehuda. Now, now Yehuda doesn't have that document. So when Reuven shows up to evict Yehuda, Yehuda doesn't have this document saying, wait, that's the wrong document. That document is invalid. Yehuda doesn't know that. But Sov Lekuchas Lav Amor. Oh my God, that was so scary. Lekuchas Lav Amor Da'ara Hadre. Oh my gosh, my headphones just turned off. That's like the second time it ever happened, but it's very unexpected noise. Anyways, so we said that, and Yehuda doesn't have this document. But at the end of the day, Frekti Gemara, isn't Yehuda ultimately going to come to Shimon and say, hey Shimon, look what happened to me? And then at that point, Shimon will be like, wait, stop. That document is not a valid document. So at the end of the day, the scheme is going to be foiled, right? So why can't you write a shover? We're saying you can't write a shover because Yehuda doesn't have it, Shimon has it. Okay, but Yehuda's going to go to Shimon. So that is, where am I? Yeah, but still, in the meantime, while Yehuda goes to Shimon, Reuven is going to be eating the fruits, and good luck getting that back from him. Alternatively, what if Yehuda bought it without achrayas? In which case, he's going to be evicted from his field, and he's going to be like, dag nabbit, I bought this field without achrayas, I have no recourse, and he's not going to even think to go back to Shimon because Yehuda bought the field without achrayas. So therefore, in this scenario, we would not write a shover for Shimon. But if that's the case, well then why don't we be'etzim therefore say, oh my gosh, what is these headphones are driving me nuts now. I don't know what to do. Anyways, oh my gosh, one second. I think I have to take out these headphones. Oh my gosh, it's like a whole change of like volumes mid recording. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. But anyways, so then why don't we say, and this is also a difficult subject, why don't we say the same thing then by a lova, right? Which is what? Well, by a lova we say, right, so what happens if Shimon lends Reuven $1,000? Okay, Shimon lends Reuven $1,000. Reuven pays back Shimon. And Reuven says, hey Shimon, give me the document so I can tear it up. He says, look, I lost it, but I'll write you a receipt. Okay? But I'll write you a receipt. So we say, okay, fine, so we write a receipt, and we'll write a receipt for Reuven. But shouldn't we be concerned that Shimon is going to either be lying or he's going to find the receipt, and then he's going to go to the lekuchis, to Reuven's lekuchis? Right? If Reuven had sold the field to Levi, Shimon's going to go and evict Levi from his field. Right? Meaning, so it should be the same. It should be the same concern, right? And even if we say that, yeah, but he'll go to Reuven, but in the meantime, Shimon is going to be eating the fruits, right? Or maybe Levi bought it without achrayas, right? So shouldn't we have the same? So why are we saying that we do write a shover for a loan, but we don't write a shover for a property sale? Shouldn't we have the same concerns? So okay, fine. So hosam dezuze masik amre paise bal chov bezuze. Well, there's a difference. No, by the loan you can write a shover, right? So if Reuven goes to pay back his loan and Shimon says he lost the document, so we could write a shover for Reuven, because even if Shimon then finds the document and he tries to evict Levi from his field, since it is a loan, since Shimon is coming with a loan document, Shimon lent Reuven $1,000. Really, what he wants back is money. He doesn't want property. He wants money back. And therefore, Levi, who bought the field, says to himself, wait, Shimon is after money. He doesn't really want my field. He wants money. So maybe Reuven actually paid him back already. Let me check in with Reuven, right? So therefore, before anything happens, the lokeach, in this case Levi, would already be going back to Reuven to say, hey, what happened? And Reuven will be like, yo, I have a receipt that says that I already paid it back. You have nothing to worry about. But over here, we're talking about property, right? We're talking about, right now the characters changed a little bit, but Reuven evicting Yehuda from his property. So in this case, right, Reuven's coming to Yehuda and saying, Reuven, I was evicted from my property, I'm taking your property. So in this case, Reuven, to begin with, is after property. So therefore, the aramasik, right, what Reuven is after is property, made the yade demand the masik ar bezuze lo mefayis, that somebody who wants property is not going to so easily be willing to accept money instead. And therefore, when Reuven comes to evict Yehuda, he's going to say, okay, there's not much I can do over here, and he's going to give the property to Reuven, and he's not going to first check in with Shimon to see if actually maybe the document is invalid. Oh my gosh. Wow, there was so much going on. It was like right in the middle of like that difficult sugya, my headphones went out and threw everything off. Now I'm headphoneless. And there's people making noise outside. Ooh, maybe I'll complain a little bit. All right, let's see. We said earlier, chutz mina. Wow, it's so weird to not have the headphones in. Chutz mina achrayis shebo. So we said earlier that we reissue a document for Reuven, right? Shimon had sold the property to Reuven. Reuven lost his document. He says, hey, Shimon, can you write me a new one? We say, sure, we'll write you a new one, but without any achrayas. So what do we write in it? So what does the document exactly look like? What does a document without achrayas look like? So Rav Nachman says, we have to be explicit. The Kazvei Achi, that they write the following: Shtore dinon, that this document that we're writing to you, Ruvain, de lo lemigbebe, lo mimishtabdev, lo mnechore, that if Ruvain, if you're evicted from this field, you have no recourse. You cannot collect from Shimon's nechasim mishubadim, not from nechasim bnei chorin. Elo ki eichi desekum ara biyadi delokeach. The sole purpose of this document is as a record that it belongs to Reuven and that nobody else can claim otherwise. But if you get evicted, you have no recourse. So according to Rav Nachman, you must be explicit in the document that there is no achrayus. Implication being that by default, there would be achrayus. Amar Rafim says, Rafim, Zos, Omeres achrayus to sofru. That this implies, right, we've seen this before, this concept of achrayus to sofer. If you have a document that doesn't say explicitly that there is achrayus, it's a mistake. And therefore, by default, achrayus is even implied, even if it's not explicit. And you have to, if there's no achrayus, you must be explicit about that, because by default there is achrayus. Time the chosav le'achi, and we see this because Rav Nachman is explicit, right? We're saying that it's specifically because the document specifically says that there is no achrayus. Halo chosav le'achi, but if the document was not explicit, gabe, so then there would be achrayus. Rav Ashi disagrees. Interesting that Rav Ashi is disagreeing with Rav Nachman. Generational gap, several generations. Rav Ashi says, Rav Ashi, achrayus lav tohu sofer, that achrayus is not a tohu sofer. And if there's a document that has no achrayus written in it, so then there is no achrayus. And what does it mean that we write a document from Reuven without achrayus? It means that we simply leave out any mention of achrayus, and then there's no achrayus. There was a certain woman, there was a woman who gave money to a man, to purchase property for her. And this fellow went and purchased the property for her, but without any achrayus, without any insurance, and if she gets evicted, she has no recourse. Also, the comment of Rav Nachman, this came before Rav Nachman Omerle, and Rav Nachman says to the guy, look, she can make the claim that, look, I sent you to help me out, not to cause me a headache, right? I wanted you to buy me a property and for me to keep, not a property that I could potentially get evicted from. So therefore, Rav Nachman says to the guy, therefore, you, the buyer, you buy it, right? You worked out a deal where you're going to buy this field without achrayus. Okay, you buy the field without achrayus, and then sell it to her with achrayus. So she's going to purchase the field from you with achrayus, and if she gets evicted, you're going to be responsible to her. Wow, that was daf Kuf Samach Tes of Masechta BavaBasra. There was so much stuff over in this daf. Right, we mentioned in passing the concept of Osios Niknos b'Mesira, which we're going to discuss more tomorrow. We discussed the scenario of a replacement shtar. If somebody claims that I lost my shtar, so we said that by a halva'a, we don't rewrite anything. By a sale, we would rewrite it, but without achrayus. We talked about the different scenarios that could unfold if you write it with achrayus. We went through the whole system, the whole process of when a lender or when a borrower defaults on a loan. How does a lender go about evicting a tenant from a land that had a lien on it? We talked about kosvin shover or not kosvin shover, achrayus tohu soferhu. All sorts of very, very interesting stuff here on Daf Kuf Samach Tes of Masechta BavaBasra. Peace out.